What's going on again, guys? It is your boy, Mr. Nolans. This is part 2 of the video now. This is finding the parts. So there's my little percent bar as from the first one when we found the whole. When you're finding the parts, this is what you're solving for. You're going to be given the whole and then the percent. Now I gave us some notes here. Notice how they are diagonally across from one another. If that is the case, cross multiply. And I gave you some other little notes here. If you cross multiply, turn the percent into a decimal first. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a couple of examples. The first one says, Ralph wrecks 80% of the buildings he hits. If Ralph hits 120 buildings, how many did he wreck? So here we go is my little percent bar. So we're comparing buildings to percents. Well, guys, if there is no buildings, he can't wreck any of them. That would be 0%. 100% would mean how many buildings there are in total. Okay, so let's see what information it gives us. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. There we are. Oh, zoom back in a little bit. There we go. Now I got it. All right. Ralph wrecks 80%. It gives me a percent. Put your percent down here. Remember, your percents always stay on the bottom. So again, Ralph wrecks 80% of the buildings he hits. If Ralph hits 120 buildings, so there's 120 buildings total. There was 120 total buildings. It's asking for how many did he wreck. This is what we're solving for. But some of you are still wondering, how do you know the 120 is over here? Well, look at your percent. He wrecks 80%. Wrecks 80%. Now it says there's 120 buildings. Look at the question. How many did he wreck? The wreck has to stay with the wreck. Here's your wreck. This is the percent that he wrecks. This is how many buildings he wrecks. See that? Alright. Now, just like on the first video, the first thing we tell the students to do is look for scale factor. Is there any number 80 times some number that's an even number to give me 100? No. So there's no scale factor here. Is there any scale factor to go from 100 to 120? No. Now, if you notice, these two numbers are diagonally across from one another. When they are diagonally across, you cross multiply. So you take your whole number multiplied by your percent. But remember, when you cross multiply, turn the percent into a decimal. So what is 80% as a decimal? 80% as a decimal is 0.8. If you want to do 0.80, it's the same exact thing. Alright, so again, going back to the first or second 6 weeks of the school year, when you're multiplying decimals, move the decimal to the back. That was one movement. Now let's multiply. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 2 is 16. So put up the 1. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. But remember, I have to move that decimal back one time. Oh, there's your answer. X equals 96. Or, he wrecked 96 buildings. Guys, you're done. That's your answer. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, again, some of y'all don't like doing it this way. How about if you set up a proportion? Some of y'all might like this. When you set up a proportion, it's going to be part over whole equals percent over 100%. Well, does it give me the part? No. So I'm going to call that X. Does it give me the whole? Well, yes, that's 120. Equals, what percent does it give you? 80 over the 100. Now, you can cross multiply if you want, but I don't want to do that. I can simplify this. What number goes into both 80 and 100 evenly? Well, 20 does. So when you simplify it, it is 4/5. So we need to find what is 4/5 of 120. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this a little bit lower. Very good. All right, so here we go. Now we have my proportion. I simplified the 80 over 100. Now if you want to, we can cross multiply and divide. The butterfly method, like some of y'all like. 120 times 4. 120, 240, 360. That's 480. And then 5 times x is just 5x. And now if you're solving for x, notice the 5 and the x, they are combined together, which means they are multiplying. To get x by itself, you'll have to do the inverse operation. So the inverse of multiplying by 5 would be to divide by 5. Let's see, 5 can go into 48 9 times. 5 can go into 30 6 times. Would you look at that? Same answer, 96. 96. Now again, I just showed you a couple of ways of solving it. Again, multiple ways of solving it. All right, let's look at the second example. Again, I'm going to start with my percent bar. We are going to emphasize the students creating the percent bar. Look how nice and organized my material is. Now, these three numbers are always given when you're setting it up. Now, a store advertised that it would donate 5% of its sales on a day to charity. If the store earned $800 that day, how much would be donated to charity? So we're talking about money here. Now, if we read the problem again, it gives me a percent. So put your percent down. Now, the question is, does it give me the part of the whole? Now, a store advertised that it would donate 5% to charity. So the 5% represents charity. The 100 is total money. Now, it says, if the store earned $800, that's the total that it earned. That's your whole. The question says how much would be donated to charity. Notice how the charity lines up. If I could spell charity down here, that'd be nice. Notice how the charities line up. This is what we're solving for. Okay. The first question I ask the students is there a scale factor? And in this case, yes, there is. I see this scale factor right here. How could you go from 100 to 800? Well, how many $100 bills does it take to give you $800? Well, 8. So you multiply by 8. Well, what is 5 times 8? Well, that's 40. So they donated $40 to charity. You're done. Seriously, you're done. Another way you could do it, I'm going to make another little percent bar. I'm already going to have it set up here for us. Some of y'all might have said, well, I see the scale factor here to go from 5 to 100. You just multiply by 20, which is great. Now look at your arrow. You went from small to big. Now your arrow goes in the opposite direction, so you would have to divide by 20. Well, 20 can go into 80 4 times. That extra 0 has to go up. And look at that, you get 40. Guys, you are done. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright guys, I hope this video helps, but I'm going to make 2 more videos. I'm going to do finding the percent, and then we're going to do a mixture. Alright guys, have a good one.